What if you could make one decision to unleash everything great in your life? Would you do it? Would you say yes? Aren't you tired of your relationships, your health, and so much more suffering because you lack the truth you need to change? The life you desire is within your reach. You can achieve all the success, happiness, and prosperity you deserve by simply learning the secrets that lead to real personal transformation. Change is hard, but not impossible. You just have to make one radical decision to get real. And there's no better authority on the real steps to change than David G. Evans.
Some men trust in chariots. Some men trust in horses. But we will trust in the Lord.
David G. Evans is leading the charge to bring you the power to change your life. He is committed to the mission of helping you transform and become a person of power, and it starts with his all-new system to change your situation. At the centerpiece of this life-altering collection is David Evans' groundbreaking training course. From ridiculous to radical to real, this means war. In this series, you will discover the steps to change. This series includes 2 powerful messages, each on winning the battle in your mind and cultivating a language of faith. That's 4 messages, 4 power-filled hours of material. If you want a better marriage, this series has the answers. If you want to achieve financial independence God's way, the secrets in this series will empower you to make it happen. If you want a life of power, anointing, and influence, this series will show you how to get it, and there's more. You're looking for serious, immediate results. So Bishop Evans will also include one of his best-selling messages called Weapon of Warfare. This classic teaching will build you up to start fighting in the spirit for what you deserve. This powerhouse collection, from ridiculous to radical to real, and Weapon of Warfare, will give you all the biblical strategies you need to change anything in your life. This collection will ship to you immediately with your gift today to David G. Evans Ministries. This ministry is revolutionizing the kingdom by empowering believers. Souls are being saved daily, and we need your help to grow this impact in a real way. Call now and sow your seed of just $35 for your transformation to help people around the world. Your $35 love gift goes straight to the front lines of ministry, providing help to those that need it most. Call now. Make the decision to get the power you need to change your life forever.
The truth every man must know, and every woman needs to know about him. Let David G. Evans help you dare to be a man.
A trifling man, you can just be present, and whatever you do is okay. Good man pushing you to become, just by the way he is.
Bishop T.D. Jakes says, up close and personal, I wholeheartedly recommend this to men and women.
A next dimension man adapts to his environment and then changes it.
Giving women hope and men clarity. Martha Munizzi added, this teaching shows women how to motivate the men they love to soar.
A male ought to represent promise to everybody in his family.
Hailed by Stedman Graham as remarkable. David G. Evans' book, Dare to be a Man, or the 3-message series on CD or DVD. Visit our website or call 1-800-591-8480 now.
Let Bishop David G. Evans steer you toward some of the most meaningful, life-altering times with our Creator in Conversations.
God says, I want to have a conversation with you. Why? Right now, my thoughts are higher than yours. My ways are a little different than yours.
Man himself is the fruit of a conversation. God talking to Jesus, Jesus talking to the Holy Ghost talking back to God. They're having a conversation concerning you.
But if you start talking to me, you'll get to understand my ways and my thoughts. So God wants this conversation so we can ultimately become all he's created us to be.
I know the thoughts I have concerning you. And I just want to have a conversation with you so you can hear what I'm thinking about you.
Cultivate the most important relationship you'll ever have. Order Conversations today. When you write to us, visit our website or call 1-800-591-8480.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to On Point. This is Pastor Nick Smith here with you on this Saturday morning at 9 a.m. It's a great time, and our staff is very loud behind us. Hi, Tiff. Oh, we're so glad you're joining us today on Point, whether you're on YouTube, Periscope, or on Facebook. Do us a favor, hit that share button, let people know that we are on today. Tag some people in and mention a minute so they can make sure they tune in this morning. So again, we say good morning, everybody. We hope you're having a great April so far. We're moving into May. This year is moving pretty quick. And it's interesting how they told me the older I get, the faster time goes.
It does.
Did not believe them at first, but it's very true.
Yeah.
But we're glad to be alive. Right. I'm like, man, I'm going to be 38. Yeah, 38 this year. Yeah.
Oh,
So cool. Praise the Lord. No, it's still young. It's still young. But we're glad you guys tuned in. Again, hit that share button if you're on Periscope, Facebook, or on YouTube. We would love to hear from you guys. Drop a comment in the threads. We are watching, and we can answer your questions on the thread on social media. So again, we're glad you have tuned in today. Hit that share button. Give us a call at 866-743-8267. Again, 866-743-8267. Give us a call with your comments, with your questions. We'd love to hear from you. Again, 866-743-8267. Real quick before we jump into the show, don't forget we have a Bible mind game. Read that. What animal does God call his leaders that do not keep his holy day? What animal does God call his leaders that do not keep his holy day? All right. So we're here with a guest today. She's no stranger to On Point, Miss Jane Ellen Miller. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Praise the Lord, the savant of of political thought, as well as what do you call them? Thought leaders now. Yes.
Thought leaders.
Yes.
I'm not sure I'm always in that category, but I am very glad to be here.
So give us a call. Talk to us. We got some important things to talk about today that I believe are very important. The one thing I want to start on and kind of get it out of the way because it's tied to our On Point poll is Joe Biden. So
Yes.
he's running for president.
Yes.
He seems to be the front runner in the Democratic Party. He raised, I believe as of yesterday, around $6.3 million
In one day.
in one day. All polls have him as the primary person so far.
So far. Actually, when he first announced, he was right behind Bernie Sanders.
Yes.
And they indicated he would have to raise $100,000 a day to be in the lead. And to catch up with others. And in his first day, it was just over $6 million. Right?
Yeah.
But some of that was what I would call a Trump bump.
Oh, sure.
Right?
I'm sure. And I think for Biden, and here's my thought. And we're going to talk a little about this later. Here's my thought process on Joe Biden. I actually like him. I think he's probably the best choice right now.
Right.
With a younger, probably more progressive, like a Beto O'Rourke or Kamala Harris, somebody
Yes.
type VP. The reason why I'm looking at endgame
Yes.
ventures, long term.
That's right.
Biden speaks to that middle America crowd,
He always has.
which is the votes that Democrats are lacking and which they need to win major elections.
I mean, that's correct. He's always been a moderate. He and John McCain always worked closely together, probably before this president, maybe even before Obama, when both parties worked more in harmony and tried to come to something that was more in the middle.
Right.
The two of them led that. So that's where he's always been. But, we're now in this age of social media, and it brings about other factors that perhaps he's not had to deal with before.
Exactly. Everything with social media is it's elevated
Yes.
to another place where, before you had to wait till the newspaper came the next day to get the information, where now
Elevated, exaggerated, and maybe
Yeah.
even slanted to a point where
Yes.
it's not exactly true.
Yeah.
But people
Yeah.
take that as the truth.
Absolutely, because they read it, and what they don't realize, a lot of the journalists now, they just want to be the first person to get information out there.
Right.
They're not concerned if it's correct or not.
Right.
It's just it's like the first. They do this in the comment section,
Yeah.
whoever's the first person puts first on there.
Yes.
Like there's a trophy for being the first person to get
Yeah.
a comment out there or a story out there, even if it's not factually correct.
And it doesn't even have to be coming from the media, right? When it's in social media, anyone could be putting those comments out there, and some people don't fact check.
Yeah, and people run with what somebody said, and don't even fact check what happened.
Right.
So he starts running. He's the early favorite, and the topic that keeps, I wouldn't say haunting him, but keeps coming up is the Anita Hill situation. For those of you that don't remember, she said that Clarence Thomas, the Supreme Court justice, sexually harassed her. Joe Biden was a part of the process with the hearings, and it was said that he treated her unfairly. So he calls her, he apologizes this week. She comes out and says, no, I don't want a simple apology. I want full accountability about what happened. And he's addressing it now because he knows it's going to be an issue later, right? Now, here's where I see the nuance and stuff, and I don't think everything's necessarily black and white.
It's not.
So I see where he called her, and it came out because, again, like we talked beforehand, if you were this concerned about her feelings, why didn't you call years ago? Now, he could have. I mean, we don't know.
He very well could have, right? And, of course, when you're running for president, people, because he's been vice president for 8 years, he was
Right.
a senator for decades, right? It did not come up.
Exactly.
Right? It has not been an issue. This is something from 1990, 1991. During the hearings, he was a part of those hearings, as were many other senators, right? So, but this is also the Me Too age.
Yes.
So that's what makes this news worthy.
Yeah.
Right?
And she very rarely comes out and talks about it.
No,
They
she
say
does
she's a
not.
notoriously private person.
That's right.
Every now and then she'll come out and say something, but I believe she had to say something on this. Now, here's where our on-point poll is. I'm going to throw it out here now, and I want to hear from you guys. Now, we have to be fair on both sides. The on-point poll is, should past behavior disqualify someone from political office? Does past behavior disqualify someone from political office? Give us a call at 866-743-8267. Again, 866-743-8267. Now, we have to be fair about this, because if we're going to give this pass, I wouldn't say the pass, if we're going to be okay with Joe Biden running with a certain track record, we have to be fair if it's a Republican. If you're a Republican, you got to be fair if it's a Democrat. But it seems like when it's somebody I like, I excuse it. Somebody I don't like, I try to penalize them for previous behavior. Now, granted, this previous behavior, there must be some change revealed over a period in time
Right.
in order for there to be, okay, this is who you were. It's not like a Trump where, he says he's not
Yeah,
something.
this
And then,
this feels so very different because those were Senate hearings,
Right.
right? This wasn't him personally doing something to Anita Hill.
Yep.
I think our current president, many things came out about him in
Yes.
terms of his past behavior, maybe even some behavior that's not so far into the past.
right.
Whereas
Present. Yesterday.
Whereas, Senate run hearings and good, bad, indifferent, and I do believe Joe Biden was the chair.
Yeah, that's what I think the issue is, yeah.
Right. But there were senators, both Democratic and Republican. I mean, that's a vehicle that they use for a lot of
Right.
process. So I'm not sure if that's really his past behavior.
Right. Now, because now in 1990, I was 10.
Ooh.
So I'll just say, I remember, my
Yes.
grandparents would watch the news,
Yes.
so you would hear about it. But
Yes.
at 10 years old, you're not worried about a Senate hearing. I mean, quite frankly.
And they didn't show those things like they do now.
Yeah, on national TV
24/7.
24/7. But the HBO did the Anita Hill story, and I
Right.
watched that a couple years ago. I've read about it,
Right.
and I don't know if you remember if you were that into it at the time. So my issue is, again, so Joe Biden's the chairman, so he's getting most of the blame.
Right.
But was he doing his job, put it that way, and being fair and scrutinizing her and him? Or was he leaning more towards Clarence Thomas' side versus her side?
I think what you had was an all-male Senate hearing.
Okay.
Right? There were no women senators who were part of that panel. I think, and then you had Anita Hill.
Right.
And so the optics on it today look really bad. I don't know that in 1990 anyone thought about all male, because we were just always so used to that. And I think we're looking at that time through today's lens, right? But by the same token, based on what was going on, what was coming out at that time, I think a lot of people felt that Clarence Thomas had culpability.
Right.
But no one was looking at the Senate panel as doing something pro or con.
Right.
It was really, the way the news portrayed it, Clarence Thomas versus Anita Hill.
Right.
Right? It really did look like that. You didn't even really know much about the hearings and the Senate panel.
That's true.
And as they brought various things to light that he allegedly did, it did not look good. But I also think it was a time where people were shocked by some of the things. Now the shock values worn off some, right? And so the idea was, would somebody really do that?
But they knew they were doing it. I mean, CEOs was admitting that a little smack on the behind to the secretary was a normal thing. That, which shouldn't be normal, but
that was behavior that was quote unquote accepted, not accepted by women, but that was like, that's the way it was. And I kind of came up through that environment in the 60s and the 70s, and people thought that they could just touch you, right? And was that ever appropriate? No. But was that the norm for those times? Unfortunately, in a lot of places, it was.
It was. And a lot of women felt like they just had to endure it in order to keep a job,
right?
Get ahead. Because if they say something, they're either going to get fired, their reputation's going to be tarnished, even though they had a right to say something.
Right.
And I admit that this world in general has treated women like trash for
second class citizens.
For a long time.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be normal for a man just to walk up to a woman and think he's entitled to, do whatever to
touch her, and you don't even know that person.
Right.
Right.
And but again, I'm not going to talk about it. So it's going to make a Game of Thrones reference, but it really shows a lot, especially some that you said was very good. We're looking at 1990 from our lens of today,
right,
rather than the context of that time. May not have been right.
Yeah, exactly.
But in that context of time, that's just what it was. So, and a lot of people was actually siding with, a lot of women too, siding with Clarence Thomas over.
So I, from my perspective, there were a lot of women who were siding with Anita Hill, but I think people were like, is she really telling?
Yeah.
Right? Is she being, because people had not been vocal about that type of behavior, right? And I think, she was extremely brave for that, but I don't think anyone was looking at her, the courage that it took for her to do that.
Yeah, and that HBO thing showed both sides. It showed a lot of women that supported her, women that said she was lying.
Yes.
Men saying, even some men supported her. Some men said she was lying.
Yes.
But I don't know how it turned into, and I get it. When you're the leader of something, it falls on you.
Yes.
And Joe Biden, like you said, the chair of the board. So because of how the hearings went, it's automatically on him.
Right.
But, I mean, somebody help me out. Like you said, did Joe Biden treat her unfairly? Or was it just the committee and the whole process as a whole? But again, he's responsible for.
Well, as the chairman of the committee, you're the chairman of the committee, but other senators say and express what they feel, right? I don't know if I have enough information to speak on it. I would have to really go back and watch those hearings and see what exactly progressed, because now I'm doing it through today's lens and based on what is being said now, without looking at, because those hearings went on for quite some time.
Yeah, they did.
right?
They did.
And the news, again, at the time was, this is what Clarence Thomas said, this is what Anita Hill said, and you weren't getting, this is what the panel, because nobody was talking about what the Senate panel that was overseeing it was doing.
True.
Yes.
That's true. And he Joe Biden just recently got, I think her name was Simone Sanders, as very good to help run his campaign. You have some people say they don't want to vote for him because of this. I mean, here's my thing, right? He wasn't the one doing.
No.
He didn't accessory assault anybody.
No.
We got a president that admitted he did that got in office, which is kind of
right.
You know, but we'll talk more about that a little later. Hold on. We got Sid. How you doing? Cindy.
Hey, how you doing, Pastor Nick?
What's happening?
Let me turn the sound off. I'm calling in about the poll.
Yes, talk to us.
Okay, and so Joe Biden, I mean, I do believe he was unfair during that hearing.
Okay.
Okay. And I remember it, even though I was in my 30s. Okay, so I know I'm old, but I do remember how horrible it was. And I'm sorry, I forgot your guest's name, but as she had said, you know, the optics of it, you know, seeing that all men, you know, all those men grilling her like that. But Joe Biden, he seemed like he was almost vicious about it at some point. But the biggest thing, I think, that makes it bad for him is that he didn't allow 3 other women to come forward who wanted to testify.
That's true.
Against Clarence Thomas.
Yeah.
And so when Anita Hill was talking about how he's not taking accountability, he privately called her and apologized and all that, you know, that's part of it. That's part of what she's mad about. And then the other thing is that I don't, you know, it kind of shows that things haven't changed much, and I believe she had spoke to that, and I saw that on some of the news cycles yesterday, because when you think about the Supreme Court justice and who just got nominated by Trump, and, you know, that whole madness and the woman that came forward and how they treated her, you know, and here we are in 2019, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's like, how far have we actually come from the Anita Hill days? You know, it's really sad. So I actually don't believe he should be hung out to dry for this issue, though. But, you know, I agree with Roland Martin's show I was watching yesterday where they were saying if he had just come out and apologized and just taken accountability right up front, it probably would be squashed. Yeah. But because of the way he's responding to it, this is going to be an issue going forward throughout his campaign. You know, he needs to just take accountability, shut it down, and, you know, go forward with his candidacy.
Yeah, just say, I'm sorry I messed up. You're right. I forgot about the other 3 ladies that wanted to come on and talk. They didn't. And I know Joe Biden's a pretty straightforward guy. He's a straight shooter, which can come across, you know, condescending sometimes, or and
because sometimes he speaks before he's really thought about the words that are going to come out.
Yes,
but he's speaking also from the heart quite often, right?
Which so his greatest strength sometimes can be that other Achilles heel.
That's right.
Okay. Hey Sid, thank you for calling. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Right.
Love you guys.
Love you too. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
All right. Bye bye. So, again, we just wanted to get that out the way. So. Keep calling us at 866-743-8267 should past behavior disqualify someone from political office. Now, speaking of past behavior and present behavior, our president, our president of the United States of America, was asked, I believe it was Thursday, about, was it Thursday or Friday, one of these days, about his Charlottesville comments.
Yes.
How there were good people and there were bad people on both sides. And then he goes on to say that Robert E. Lee was a great general.
Yes.
Now, I thought that he didn't like losers, because last time I checked, it wasn't Grant that, surrendered. It was
Robert E. Lee. There's revisionist history too, right? Mm-hmm. Because he also said when he was talking about good people and bad people on both sides, at the time, he was talking about the people marching. Mm-hmm. Now he says he was not talking about the people marching. He was talking about Robert E. Lee. Mm-hmm. In a lot of ways, to me, that's an even more dangerous statement because it says a lot about him. Robert E. Lee, and some may say he was a great military man, and I think he started out that way as coming from a
Absolutely
military
did.
family and graduating number 1 or number 2
West
from
Point and all that, yeah.
West Point, and doing really well in the U.S. Army, up until Lincoln asked him to lead the Army against the South.
Yep.
He resigned from the United States Army and became the commander
Yep.
of the Confederate Army, fighting for all of those principles that the Confederates were fighting for.
Yeah.
And so when our current president says that that's a great general, to me, I feel he's sending messages
To his base.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
About what is important, what the principles are in terms of dividing the
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
And because at the end of the day, Robert E. Lee also had to surrender because the U.S. Army, as tenacious as the Confederates were, the U.S. Army was stronger.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So Trump saying that that's great, if you really look at it, I am not so sure.
Yeah.
But the principles of Robert E. Lee is what I think he's really
Oh,
pushing.
absolutely. Because it goes back to the Confederacy was a traitor.
Yes.
They were traitors. They were rebelling.
Yeah.
But yet a certain part of America feels like they're the real America.
That's right.
And almost like the coastal parts aren't America, though.
That's right.
Which is strange, how you want this smaller group to determine what goes on with the bigger group. And
But isn't that what the Civil War was about, though?
Exactly. And then they try to say, well, the Civil War wasn't about slavery. It was about money. No, it was about money that was tied to slavery.
That's right.
All right? Because at the end of the day, it was about slavery.
Right.
When all the different expansions of slavery and which states would be free states, which states would be slave states, all that was boiling to a point
It was tied to
that
economics.
led to a war. It was tied. It really was. But it was about slavery as a form of building the economy.
Yes.
So of course America would be greatly prosperous in its early ages when you have a bunch of free labor.
Right.
And all you gotta do is feed them. You can keep multiplying them and don't have to pay them a thing.
Right.
A certain portion of the country is gonna make a lot of money
Right.
compared to the other parts. So, but it goes back to, like you said, it's him throwing another bone to his base.
Right.
And basically, and you know what's crazy? They tell us to get over slavery, but they can't get over the Civil War.
As though they're different.
Somebody help me out here.
Right. As though they're different.
The Confederate flag is up all the time.
Right. Right.
You ride through North Carolina on a certain highway, they have on a major highway, a huge Confederate flag flying on the highway. But yet they tell us to move on. It's over. But they keep saying we want our America back.
Yes.
Somebody help me out with this, please.
Yeah. I know, I get it. I get it. And I used to have to, I had it in my job, my territory was the South, and so I had Mississippi, Alabama, and some really interesting places. And so when you saw the Confederate flag on everybody's lawn, at one point I was lost driving. I was not stopping.
I know that's right. I know that's right.
This was before GPSs. I was determined I was going to find how I needed to get there. It was dark too, There's just a certain segment that still has some of that. It's kind of unbelievable in this day and age, but I feel like our president, kind of plays to that.
Yeah.
Not kind of, he does.
No, he does. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing I give him. He knows how to campaign.
Yeah,
and he's campaigning for 2020 already.
He is.
He started actually the week after he got office.
He really did. And that's really what you're supposed to do, right? And I think this may be another topic, but that's what concerns me about all of our candidates for the Democratic Party, and that's what concerns me about our newly elected Congress.
Okay.
And I think Obama talked about, the what did he call it? He called it
circular politics.
Yes, circular firing
squad.
squad, right? Where we're on all of these issues, whether it's the investigations against Trump, right, or just a number of various things that don't seem to be on message. And I think when people voted this new group in, it was to do certain things, but I think we're off message.
Yeah,
and that circular firing squad
Yeah.
is about we're going to kind of shoot and kill ourselves, which doesn't really help where we're trying to go.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know what we're going to do? We're going to go on a break, and then we're going to
Good.
come back and play that Obama video because we need to talk about that. Because
Yeah, I have not seen that video, but I've been hearing that phrase a lot lately.
Progressives are really getting on my nerves in the past couple year or two.
Yeah.
With how we deal with issues, which probably will be the reason why Trump is reelected in 2020.
Don't say that.
But we're going to go on a break, and we're going to play that video. Y'all hold on. Don't look at everybody's looking at me like we'll be right back.
The power to change your life's dilemmas is hidden in one name.
The reason that what I need from God many times is not responding to me is because I'm praying or speaking to it as though it has a choice.
If I understand God, he didn't like what he was looking at, and he changed it. He didn't take no back talk except for yes. Stop letting your problems sass.
Don't underestimate the power in you. You can make the shift.
You've been created to change what you don't like that you're looking at. You got too much power to be casual. Problem is you don't know it. Everywhere you go, a shift has to occur. It depends on what comes out of your mouth.
Shift your life into divine gear. Make this life-altering series yours now when you write us. Visit our website or call 1-800-591-84.
Right, once it's
Hey, we're back, y'all. We're going to play that clip from President Obama, and it's something that I think is important for Democrats and those that lean Democratic. It's a concern that I have. All right, we're ready. We'll play the clip.
And one of the things I do worry about sometimes among progressives in the United States, maybe it's true here as well, is a certain kind of rigidity where we say, I'm sorry, this is how it's going to be, and then we start sometimes creating what's called a circular firing squad, where you start shooting at your allies because one of them is straying from purity on the issues. And when that happens, typically the overall effort and movement weakens.
See, right there.
yeah.
First, can I say I miss an eloquent, distinguished president that articulates his thoughts very well and considers his words before he says them.
100%.
It is, but I listened to that clip. I felt this is so refreshing.
Yes.
I need him to do a speech like every day just to give us some balance and some hope. But what he's bringing up is true. You hear a lot of, and this happened, which is the reason why Trump got elected in 2016, was because the candidate did not fit everything that everybody wanted. All of a sudden, because I don't like you on this one issue,
Right.
I'm not going to vote for you. Rather than and they'll take a candidate they don't like.
Right.
90% don't like because this one person doesn't have 10% of what they like, which to me is absolute foolishness.
Rather than looking at the totality of it.
So now you're complaining about what Trump is doing, but you didn't participate in the vote because you didn't like 10% of what Hillary Clinton represented. And we're still out there now. So it's like, if this person isn't 100% for reparations, or if this person isn't 100% for free Medicare, this person, I'm not voting for them because how they feel about this one issue, rather than the totality of it, which can lead the way for a 2020 re-election of Donald Trump.
I think that there's a lot of truth in that. I also think that the midterm elections was that referendum against Trump.
Right.
But what I see with the newly elected to Congress, and especially some of our younger ones, and this gets back to the social media, right, that they are something that I used to say back in the day. They're making rookie mistakes,
Yes.
but they're very, very public, right? And so when you have a new senator making comments that are viewed as being anti-Semitic, that's not good. And then when it comes out again, that's not good. And then when you post things that say that, that's not good. And then so people who vote
stuff wasn't anti-Semitic though.
No, some of it wasn't, but some of it was, you know, and then some of it, you know, it's all about the Benjamins. You got to just not in that role that now, because I got what she was saying, but in that role, she has to play a different role, right? And so people are like, well, what are you working on in terms of the things that we voted for you to go in as a block? And what you're seeing, and I think that's that circular firing squad, is they initially came in and they were going after Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah.
Well, Nancy Pelosi had a lot to do with all of you coming in, right?
And y'all staying in.
Right. And also making sure that they were on critical committees. That there are Republicans who are saying that they should not be on and they want them off based on certain comments. And so I don't see us gelling. Now, the Republican Party isn't gelling. This is very much fractionalized.
But they come together when it's time to vote.
That's right. And our president does have a base. I'm not sure where our base is. I'm not sure what our message is.
See, that's the thing. It's splintered. So you got these young, no political experience people coming into the Senate, and most of their critique is about the ones that have been there, not realizing that the ones that have been there, like Nancy Pelosi, know how to play the game. First, they didn't want her in as the House Speaker. If one of them young bucks got in there, they would have chewed that young buck alive. One thing I love about a lot of those young senators, they have a lot of passion.
Yes.
They just need to learn method now. Long game. And don't shoot the people that are trying to help you, which what President Obama was saying. We're trying to, if we don't, if you don't fit exactly what I want, you're done. So if I'm a Bernie person, which is more socialist than most, if we don't get this, I'm not voting for nobody. No, here's the other thing. We don't want a moderate. We need a complete progressive. No. Most people are moderates.
The majority of people are moderates. That's exactly right.
Like, come on, y'all. But they're not thinking of the big picture. And that's my issue with this young group. So, like, a lot of blacks now are talking about reparations. If there's no reparations there, we're not going to vote for the person. Let me help y'all with something real quick. Is reparations a good thing in certain form? Yes. It's not going to happen. And if it does, it's not going to be the way you want it to be.
It's not going to be the way you want it to be. And then you'd have to open up the floodgates, right? Because Native Americans probably deserve reparations, right? Asians who were put into camps during World War II.
Well, they did something.
Pardon?
They got something.
Yeah, well, yeah.
They got something.
Something. But this nation has had a history of mistreating people of color. And so the reparations... I think Georgetown currently is talking about doing some reparations. And actually, that was a student vote. That wasn't an administrative vote.
No, they wouldn't go vote for that.
Yeah.
My thought on reparations is this. I don't think a check needs to go out to everybody.
No.
I would say let's invest the money. Instead of gentrifying certain cities and moving the people out, let's find a way to create stability in those areas. There's no reason why Philadelphia school system shouldn't be the way it is. With all the money we got going on, rebuild our schools, get jobs back in the areas, do things to build the community up, and don't push everybody out. Because, a few in the hood are making it bad for everybody else. There's a lot of good people that still live
A lot of good people.
And they just can't afford to move.
That's right.
So why don't we, I think our reparations should be form of criminal justice reform. Bring some of them people home that shouldn't have never been there. Or there's no reason why you got caught with a dime bag of weed and you got 5 years for it. All right. Education, bring up property, all that stuff. But again, healthcare. But again, it goes back to just because one person, just because it's individuals and match 100% of what you want in a president, and you're not going to vote for him is silly to me.
It is. I think, and I say this even in my work world, as people look at systems and the different things I work with, and I always say it's the 80-20 rule. because nothing is 100%.
Yeah.
If you're looking for it to be perfect, that does not exist. If you're looking for it to have everything you want,
Right.
that does not exist. But if it has the majority,
Yeah.
you can work with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we need to look for. So and it's what Bishop calls, we get into our intellectual silos.
Yes.
And, we're stuck over here, we're stuck over here, we're stuck over here. And a lot of people may not like Bill Maher. And he said, look, Hillary Clinton was my first choice. But he said,
Right.
if you go to the restaurant and they don't have the chicken, just order the fish.
That's right.
That's the way you put it. Like, Bernie
that's right.
didn't get in.
That's
Get
right.
over it. And
That's
here's the
right.
thing. Did they try to cheat him? Yes.
Yep.
But that's not the reason why he lost.
Right.
It's not the reason why he lost. He lost because she got more votes, not because they cheated.
That's right.
Y'all,
I mean, people, at the end of the day, you count the votes. It says what it was.
it was what it was.
Right.
All right. We got line 1, Bunny. Hey, Bunny, how you doing?
Hi, how are you, sir?
Doing well. You okay?
It gets better, I think. Yes,
That's good.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Yes, also, just briefly, I want to say that whenever I can catch your broadcast and whenever you have to speak or do something, you are simply phenomenal. I thought
thank you.
Bishop is phenomenal.
Oh, of
but
course he is.
God bless you. God bless you.
Thank you.
It really ministers. Listen, there were a few things. I came on late because I overslept, so I don't know whether or not you had mentioned anything about a couple of these things.
Okay.
As it pertains to Joe Biden.
Yeah, we talked about him, yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
But you can share your thoughts, though.
You all had mentioned just now a little bit about the younger people, and I know that some of the younger congressmen and women reflect their youth across the board. Some of them are my son's age, actually. And one thing you notice about youth is they want things perfect right now.
Yep.
Okay? And I was telling my son the other day some things that we weren't talking about politics. We were talking about his own life, and some things take time, and it's a process. And even though you are seeing things, I would say the right way in a sense, we have to understand that we do still serve a God of the process.
Yep.
Process is not without that. The process is also not without context. What is the context of the moment that has to you just sort of have to wait. And I think you all kind of hit on that somewhat when I woke up and heard you a little bit. And part of that was my concern is, and this is more with the media as it pertains to Joe Biden, okay? With Joe Biden, I get concerned how the media, who particularly like CNN and MSNBC, who tend to support the Democratic part of the ticket, how they are wanting to get Trump out so bad, yet they nitpick their own people who they want to get out. Whereas Fox, regardless of how wrong you are, you know, they will make up a lie. Well, the good part about I'm not saying that they should lie. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that I wish the media, as well as other Democrats, not necessarily the ones who are running against you, but in general, would not nitpick their own people so much. And they are staying on this thing with Joe Biden and the hugging and the touching. And
it's about money. They want them ratings.
Ratings.
Yeah, but but if they're not careful, they're going to be rating themselves right back in the place where they're going to be the enemy of the people again. You see?
You know what's interesting, Bunny? This is what's interesting, right? When Trump first said that he was going to, once he started saying he was going to run for president, you know, he didn't spend that much money in ads for his campaign. The media did so much for him because they kept talking about him.
Right.
And people were wondering why they do this. First, they didn't think he would win, number one. Number two, they said they made so much money during the 2016 election. The more they put Trump on, the more people watched. They knew what they were doing, and they were willing to keep putting him in front just to get some extra money. So to me, this is capitalism. They can talk about, treat the media fairly. And I'm not saying that everybody's saying it's 100% absolute. But when it comes down to it, it's about the money. And if they want to make some extra money, they'll be willing to keep talking about Trump, and no matter what he says, because they know the more you talk, people love watching a train wreck. All right? The accident is on the other side of the highway, but the traffic is on the side that the accident is not. Because why? People love to watch a mess. And that's the issue I have.
And slow down to watch it.
The media helped create some of this stuff.
Right.
It was interesting you said that because it dawned upon me during his campaign that the more they had the cameras on and the more that he was resonating with the wrong kind of people.
Oh, absolutely. He knew what to say.
The right kind of people, which shocked me, and that had to do with a lot of white evangelicals. Yeah. And that was what was scaring me even more. And I actually tried to contact the major networks to say, will you please take the cameras off of him, please? Because the cameras being on him is causing a resonation with his message that is not good, and it's bringing out an element and corrupting a good element, So, or bringing out the corruption that was already in a good element. I don't know how you want to put it there.
Yeah.
Okay. The next thing I wanted to.
All right, you got this last one. So we got to go to another caller.
Okay. Okay. This is the last one. Did you all talk about the Coast Guard lieutenant who was a federal judge on Thursday had granted a pretrial release?
Oh, for the
they're going to release
lieutenant,
Maxine Waters,
who had a hit list.
The one who had the hit
Democrats
list.
and journalists.
Yeah, Maxine Waters. I saw her say something about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was pretty much big news, and they were saying that he had a stockpile of weapons and all of that. And on that, what concerned me was on that list was Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, Chuck Schumer, Maxine Waters, Cory Booker, Joe Scarborough, Chris Cuomo, Van Jones. A lot of people were on that list. And my thing was, how in the world can a judge approve a release on such a person? And does it surprise me that Attorney General Barr did not see this as important? And if the very same thing had happened to number 45, everybody and their mamas would have been all over this. So that's all I just wanted to say. I'm going to let you go to your next call.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. That's actually not surprising to me because a lot of mental health people that have made threats, try to do stuff, they're only in there for maybe 2-3 months.
That's right. Let
them ride out. And my problem is then you're basically saying it's okay to wait for this person to do something bad to somebody.
Till they explode.
I got a problem with that. Yeah. But it's okay. Line 3. Hey, Robin, how you doing?
Good morning, Pastor Nick. How are you?
Hi.
And the guest
Jane, Miss Jane.
I forget her name.
Good morning,
Miss Jane.
How are you? Good.
Fabulous.
I just want to first just say, Pastor Nick, and to all my brothers and sisters that show love and care in the loss of my uncle. I really appreciate it, and I love you all. And God bless you. I'm on my way now to the funeral, but I just wanted to make a quick comment regarding Joe Biden. I was watching him on The View yesterday. Well, I watched it on YouTube later on last night. And some of the things that he was saying as far as like with the women, talking about he's too touchy, and he's always been affectionate, but he did apologize, and he said he meant no harm, and he said he knows he has to just work on giving people their space, stay out of their space, but he's always been like that, and he doesn't, mean any harm. But as far as what you were talking about, should we be accountable for our past? I think we all are, because it does have consequences, but like you said, if we've learned from our past and move forward and not do the same mistakes, I think he'll be okay. But like you said, they're going to continue to bring that out as long as he's running, for president.
Oh yeah, they're going to. It's going to be a nonstop thing.
Right? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just like President Trump, all the things that he's done in the past, but he's constantly still doing the same thing. He hasn't made any changes. But My thing is, if he's reelected, I mean, I hope this doesn't happen, but if he's reelected in 2020, somebody I think is going to try to take him out. There's so many people upset with him, especially with their paying their taxes, with the children, and I'm just praying that he doesn't get reelected, because if he's taken out, then Pence will be in, and I heard he's worse. So we just got to get out there, vote, and pray that the right one gets in that can make, changes to what's going on now.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Robin. Appreciate you.
All right. Y'all have a blessed rest of your day.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. So, line one. Charles, how you doing?
Hello, sir.
Hey, sir. How are you?
Nigga.
Oh, geez. Okay. Praise the Lord. Line four, Antonio. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Antonio here. I'm doing good.
Good. What's happening?
Hey, how you doing, Pastor Nick? And
we had our first troll on the radio.
Yes.
Wow. You didn't hear it?
I didn't hear it.
You didn't hear it?
Oh my God.
You didn't hear it? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Charles. I'm sorry. Antonio, how you doing, man? Go ahead, brother.
I'm good, man. Hey, I just wanted to bring out something that you had said. You had brought out something that I thought was very powerful.
Sure.
You had talked about the bad news and media, and I'm thinking about with the Black Wall Street that happened, and a lot of that happened was a direct result of bad news that people have put out.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so I think that, in addition to maybe, speaking out against Trump and, protesting and, just these different resolutions with him, I think that might be another area too. Because I've just even noticed, like, even how sometimes you have, like, Facebook, you have Twitter, and it's social media, and it's like everything that's portrayed isn't always good for everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of just like a little disheartening. Sometimes it's just, so bad for the heart to even see and to hear. And a lot of the stuff that they say is not even true.
Absolutely.
So
it's hard nowadays, honestly, to find good, solid, trustworthy media outlets now sometimes.
Right.
Or no, I'm going to say media outlets is kind of broad. Articles you have to actually read like 2 or 3 or 4 to make sure that the first 2 is right.
Wow.
It's just like that now. And who's going to have a slant? Who's going to call it down the middle? It's difficult now.
Right, absolutely.
So, how's things in Harrisburg?
Man, things are over here is beautiful over here. I'm glad that the weather has broke out a little bit,
Yeah.
So
that's good to hear, man. All right, brother. Bless you, man.
Take care.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. Somebody done posted. We done made it now. We got our first troll phone call.
That's amazing.
We done made it. We done made it. Praise the Lord. Ain't that something?
Hope that made their day.
I know.
Yes.
Man, it's hilarious.
This may have something to do with why, they talk about happiness and health is lowering each year. I think that was an example of that.
Yeah.
That is not a happy, healthy person.
Well,
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Got on the air too.
It did.
We don't have a delay.
We don't have a delay. I think we need a delay one time.
Yes.
Just in case one of us slip up and say something. That's more savior for us, maybe.
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah. Yes.
What time? How much time we got left? Okay, we got a few minutes. So, we got through Biden. We got through Trump's Charlottesville comments.
Yeah.
That guy probably was there. And I'm sorry. Such
delay.
Right. Delay is for it. So let's get to some other news. Some good news in Newark, New Jersey. There's a program that allows students to stay in school.
That is good news.
On certain nights.
Yes.
And from that, the principal started that particular program to help the kids out to stay off the streets.
Yes.
Which then allowed those kids to stay out of a lot of stuff. No gun violence to any of these kids at all. That's kind of reparation stuff I'm talking about.
Well, and that is absolutely correct. And what that does is it puts them in a safe environment.
Yep.
So I work at a community college in Maryland that's in probably one of the wealthiest counties in the U.S., but everyone there is not wealthy. And one of our students was shot and killed this past week. And the president talked about the fact that while he's doing very well in school, he's on track to do things. When he goes back home, he's in a neighborhood that is not safe, right? And I think when I saw that this was happening for here in New Jersey with high school students, that's exactly right. And it goes back to those parents who are trying to do all the right things. And just because you're poor does not mean that you don't want the best for your children.
Absolutely.
But sometimes you're living in an environment where what's going on around you puts your children at risk.
Yeah, and that's
this principle. I wish they could now do something where they could scale this up.
Yeah. I think this is the same school the guy was on Ellen.
Yes.
A few months ago, where he bought a washer and dryer at the school where the kids can do their laundry at school.
Yes, this is the same.
All that stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think starting programs like this, because again, like some of the charter schools in the inner city, you go to this nice charter school,
then
you have to go home.
Right.
And most of the kids do not want to go back home.
No. Sometimes the only meals that they get are the ones that they get in school.
Absolutely.
Right? Or where they feel safe, or where they can be warm, or where, there's all of these positive influences. Yeah. So I thought that was great. I would just like to see more of that happen.
Absolutely. So, stay up. Kendra from Georgia. Kendra, how are you?
I'm doing good, Pastor Nick. How are you?
Good. What's happening?
Nothing. Good morning to your co-host as well. I just wanted to get your thoughts on Franklin Graham's comments regarding the mayor, Pete Buttigieg, the tweets he made towards him. Mm-hmm. That's the only reason. I just want to get your thoughts on that.
Here's my thought on this, right? I don't think it's right to be selective when it comes to your outrage. It's kind of hard for me to have Franklin Graham get on Mayor Pete. They call him Mayor Pete because he's a homosexual and a Christian, which is possible. But support a president who's openly doing so much other things, where the morality is okay with one but wrong with the other.
Right.
Now, we believe in biblical marriage here. We believe in that. But I think that, do we know what the Bible says is right or wrong? Absolutely. But my issue is this with a lot of conservatives and Republicans. They reduce the Bible to two things: abortion, gay marriage. Exactly. The Bible speaks so much more than murder and same-sex marriage. And that's why it was easy for Trump to get them, because he was so much against abortion, gay marriage. Well, he said he was. A couple years ago, he was, I don't think he was that pro-life.
Right.
But I think that Franklin Graham needs to be balanced. If you're going to get on this too. And the one thing I will say, we got 2 minutes left. Thanks, Kendra. We'll call us again sometime, okay?
Okay.
All right, bye. I just don't like the selectivity of the Bible.
Right.
And I think that all of us are carrying something around, doing something that we know we shouldn't be, or we shouldn't be doing. Not justification.
Right.
But I just do not like the selectiveness of when we want to apply the Bible and when we don't. Before, president, if he couldn't be faithful to a marriage, he couldn't be the president of the United States. Now all of a sudden,
3 marriages and you're in.
He's a friend to the faith.
Yeah.
The hypocrisy, amazing. That's what gets on my nerves.
Right.
It's the hypocrisy. And again, Christianity is more than just 2 issues.
Absolutely.
If anything, Jesus talked about how we treat the less than more than anything. The poor, the disenfranchised, all of them, more than anything. That's what I believe. And the children.
That's right.
But, you see how that's going now. Anyway, you've been listening to On Point. Jane, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We appreciate you every time you come on. Your intellect is amazing as it relates to life and your astuteness in the way you articulate your thoughts.
You give me far too much credit.
Right. No. Thank you for coming on. Hey, y'all, don't forget to join us tomorrow, 8 and 11 a.m., our worship services. It's going to be a great time in the Lord. Make sure you come on out to the plaza. If you're distant, stream live at gotobethany.com or at BBC of NJ on all of our social media platforms. Hey, we love you guys. We appreciate you. We'll see you next week. And as Bishop always says, faith acts like a thing is so, even when it's not so, that it might be so. God bless you. Even you from Charleston, Florida. God bless you. We'll talk to you soon.